All right, we're live. YouTube, you give me hassles tonight. All right, and it's Real Talk on Real Estate, and we are building duplexes in 2025. We're going to talk about challenges and opportunities on both of them. And one of the big things is the profitability. I'll tell you guys, I love duplexes because they do a couple things, but I'm also going to go over challenges. Okay. If I can get single family dwellings, I'm going to do it. So if I could get a lot, okay, and let's talk about opportunities first. If I can buy a lot, and if on that lot I could put two dwellings on it that are detached, not duplexes that are attached, but two detached units, that's what I'm going to do. And the reason why is because single family detached units on average nationwide sell for between $10 and $20 per square foot more than attached units. So my profitability goes up exponentially because it doesn't cost me any less to build a duplex than it does to build two single family homes, with the exception of stucco. Okay, so if the land is there, where duplexes come into play, where they're just super advantageous, is when you don't have the land available to do two detached dwelling units. Otherwise, you're going to be compromised to only doing one. And if you're going to get compromised to only doing one of the biggest things that you need to take advantage of is the land itself, and density always wins. So if I can go in and I can double my density by putting two units instead of one unit, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. 100% of the time, that's what I'm doing, because profitability is larger and density always wins, or at least 99.999% of the time. Okay. And so one of the big things is, let's talk about duplexes, let's talk about financing, let's talk about this stuff real quick. Because one of the biggest challenges most people have is money, the fear of them not being able to go in financing the opportunity to build these things, to buy these things. Let me tell you, I will be the first to tell you that right now, buying duplexes is the stupidest investment that you'll ever make. Do not buy single family or duplexes or fourplexes, even small multifamily. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. It makes you no profitability. Everything is so hyperinflated because of how low cap rates got that people are over leveraged right now. They don't want to get rid of it. They're holding on for their dear lives to every thread and lifeline they have. And everything is overpriced financially because cap rates have went up with interest rates. Interest rates have went up. Values have diminished. And so everybody is squeezing every last dime out of anything being sold in this current market. So there is no great deals. There's okay deals, but really, if you want to make profits, ground up game is always the game to play. There's more profitability in new construction than there is in the pre-existing assets that don't exist out there. There's nothing good available, ladies and gentlemen. So with that said, why? Why is that, and where does the opportunity come from? Let's go over this. Let's go over some of the challenges that we face and some of the opportunities that we face building duplexes. Now, I love duplexes to increase density. Increasing density is one of the most advantageous things you can do with real estate. If I can get a free pad site to go up with another dwelling unit or another pad site to be able to go vertical with more density, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, and so when we go in, and one of the things, like when we were doing our projects up in Kirkland, Washington, we tried to get single family dwellings anywhere we could, but there was other times that we couldn't. The city just wouldn't approve it. We didn't have enough roadway. We didn't have enough parking. We didn't have enough garage space. And so the only way to get density to fit was to be able to do duplexes. Okay. Now, the downfall to duplexes, like I mentioned before, is the price per square foot goes down by about $10 to $20 per square foot. But the overall profitability goes up with density. So even though it goes down on price per square foot, the density gives you the ability to offset the loss by increasing the density, hence giving you still larger profitability in spite of the lower cost per square foot that the dwelling is actually sold on. Make sense? Okay, now, challenges. Where do you find these lots? Where do you get them from? Okay. I love buffer zones. Buffer zones are in between commercial and residential property. So you don't go into a single family neighborhood and just drop down a duplex most of the time. Now, a lot of times in like university areas, in mixed zoned residential, like R2, R3, R5, R10, so all the mixed use residential. This is the stuff that I like to pay attention to. Now, also what I like to pay attention to is stuff that's zoned in excess of residential, because there is a residential component to all commercial zoning. And most people don't realize this. Okay. So one of the challenges is knowing and finding out, hey, does this commercial zone property have a residential component that I could utilize to build duplexes, fourplexes, or whatever it is? And every single commercial zoning has a residential component to it. Now, the question is there profitability doing commercial, or is it just better off going with more density residential? That's why underwriting is so important, so you can maximize profitability with an exit strategy on a worst case scenario, so that every project pencils for profit. Okay. Now, buffer zones are great. Going into some of these mixed use residential areas are great. Going into an area where you have commercial zoning of some sort and down zoning to residential is also a play. But the area has to depict profitability. What I mean by that is, don't be the one trying to reinvent the wheel. Go into areas that are proven concept where people want to live. Downtown areas, great areas. Why? People love that density. They love that urban living. They love the walkability to restaurants, to movie theaters, to public transportation. They love that stuff. And so especially younger couples or even some older couples, but it gives them that inner city urban feel that people love. So these are great areas to go in, either downgrade the zoning or go in for mixed use residential. And that's the areas in these buffer zones that the zoning lies. Now, 100% of the time, you're going to have to go in and get neighborhood approval. And when you go in for neighborhood approval, you're going to want to do a neighborhood outreach prior to going in and actually taking down the purchase of the acquisition, because you're going to get pushback almost 100% of the time by somebody crazy in that neighborhood. Doesn't matter if you're enhancing the beauty, dumping in putting in economics. They always hassle you when you go in for zone changes or density increases, because you're the rich developer and you're going in, you're messing up their neighborhood by putting in density. And every person that you put into those duplexes, I forgot to tell you, is going to be a drug dealer, a drug pusher, a prostitute, or something crazy. Or at least in their little petty mind, you're bringing crime to their neighborhood, because that's what they believe you're bringing when you bring in density in single family residential. So how do you go about going around this? We just go in and we appease the neighbors by doing a neighborhood outreach meeting. We let them go in, we let them sign in, we let them go with all their opposition. We let them bitch, moan, and complain about absolutely everything that they want to. We write everything down that they complain about within a threshold of reason. And then once we put a legitimate list together of reasonable concerns, not, I've had stuff as stupid as a lady saying, well, now you're going to have a 3-story apartment complex by me. And now I like to sunbathe naked in my backyard. She weighs like 600-pound life and no one wants to see her naked. And but yet that was her opposition. And she wants to go in and oppose the apartment complex because she wants to sunbathe naked in her backyard. And she tells this to everybody in a neighborhood outreach, not a neighborhood outreach, in a city council meeting. And this is the challenges that you're going to go through. So don't worry. Don't get mad. Just laugh. And don't laugh at them, right? Laugh silently, internally, and then take all their oppositions within a threshold of reason and find ways to address 100% of all their concerns within a threshold of reasonability. That way, when you go to the city for municipal approval and you show them that you've worked with the neighbors in neighborhood outreach, the city, it limits their liability. Okay. And so it takes that stress off of the city's back, and they just want to see you do neighborhood outreach. Every city across the United States in today's day and age knows that we need a housing, hands down. Okay. So neighborhood outreach, expenses, debt, and equity. Okay. Challenges for multifamily and anything residential is that debt's expensive, and most people will otherwise retract in a market where the cost of money is more expensive. Well, the ground up game, guys, a lot of times the money is short-term loans, and there's plenty of long-term loans in your local municipal banks and credit unions that are way less expensive than using national lenders. And one of the things that I love most is putting yourself in a position where you could just get the project done. And sometimes even expensive money wins because it's a short-term loan. And on a duplex, it might take you 6 months to finish this, maybe even 8 months. But on a short-term loan, just underwrite it even for 12 months, for sake of example. And if you go in and you underwrite it and you account for the expensive cost of money, it might only cost you an extra 10 grand, guys, if that. But if you're quarreling on a 6-month build over 10 grand, you should shit can the project and not do it anyways, because there's not enough profitability to make it worth your time. Go flip hamburgers for a living, for God's sake. Okay. Now, opportunity. One, we're producing housing, guys, for people. That is a massive need right now. With over 7 million homes in deficit, that's a massive need and a major concern on a federal level, local, state, and municipal level. They will embrace the ability to enhance density, provided you follow the bylaws, right? Now, second thing, I love multi-unit real estate because I love the cash flow on multi-unit real estate. One of the most advantageous aspects, that's your cash on cash return, where you're making cash on your money, owning an asset that has rental units that produces income. Okay, cash flow is great. Equity. Okay, one of the most advantageous opportunities that you have with duplexes in the multi-unit game is you got equity in these things. You build them ground up. You could build them for substantially less than you can buy them for right now. And you walk in day one with equity. And here's the thing, guys. Most people go out and they work an entire lifetime to go out and just get a pension or a pay cut. Somebody is making 6 figures. By the time they pay health insurance and all their fees, they may make an extra 40 grand a year, but that takes them 30 years to do. Why don't you go in and buy a duplex, a fourplex, or build a duplex, a fourplex, a 6-unit, and go in and take the profitability in 6 months instead of spending 30 years for a pay cut or a pension and a Timex at a time when you no longer need the time. They give you a Timex. Screw the damn Timex. Go to work today and in 6 months from now have the same passive income that you would otherwise have after 30 years of working a professional career. Okay? So equity is great. Cost segregation, the tax benefits of long-term holds, duplexes included. I love this. You can go in and you can cost segregate, meaning you could take bonus depreciations, depreciate the asset with anything minus the land, and then write that off until you have that in its equivalence in net taxable income. And so I love the opportunity to cost segregate the assets and take 100% of the bonus depreciations in the very first year and offset it against your W-2 income, your 1099 income, or any of your revenue from your companies. If they're provided they're LLCs, they're pass-through entities, you have the ability to cost segregate them. Okay. Now, I love this. Why not just build it for pride, ego? It's a good feeling. You know, shit, I'm not a hater. I'll love you either way. Build the damn thing. Do it for pride and do it for profits. Those two things, pride and profits, the 2 P's. Okay. And when you go and you finance these on your stabilized loans, do them FHA. FHA has an incredible program that allows you to put a 97% down payment, 3% equity into the project. And you have the ability to go in with between 0 to 3% down payment. You won't hear that anywhere, anyhow. But I'll tell you, interest rates, even if they're expensive, 10%, 11%, don't go much over 11%, but 9, 10, 11%, you could still get these projects to pencil very attractively. And you got to get in and out of that debt and stabilize on a long-term play so that way you don't have to worry about cash flow no more. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to come in and talk to you guys about the challenges and opportunities in duplexes. If you like the content, click and subscribe to our YouTube channel, smash that thumbs up button. And ladies and gentlemen, my family, your family, we'll see you next time. And comment down below. If you're watching this on repeat, just comment, put hashtag repeat. Until next time, Real Talk on Real Estate. God bless you. Good night. And you guys go out and compound your success. All right, ladies and gentlemen.